Alright guys, in the last video we diagnosed that these two were bad. I went ahead and I did a repair video on these. So moving along with repairs, we need to go ahead and put these switches back in. This is number 2, which goes here, and this is number 5, which goes here. So let me turn the board over and let's get this soldered in. Alright, let's get a little bit of liquid flux on these. Just a tad, doesn't take much. It's over here. Silly me. There we go. That's a little more than I actually need. Normally I put like a little bit on the table and I'll use a toothpick or something and stick it on there. So let me get these soldered on. Alright, I got them soldered on. Now I need to clean all the wick off. And for you guys that have wick holders, when you use them up and all the wick's no longer in them, like this one is almost empty now. I'm gonna have to go get some more. Just open them up, wind some solder around them, and you can stick your wick on it and your solder together, or you can have your 3 different sizes of solder, whatever you like. I mean, I find it very very useful. So let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. And I'm not going all over the place because I don't want it to splatter all over the board. Sometimes if I have a larger board and I don't want to do all the cleaning, I'll actually take tissue paper and I'll cover the whole board except for where I'm cleaning to kind of keep it off. So let me zoom in, I guess that's better. There we go. Let's get this one cleaned up a little bit more. Check the solder job, see how well it looks. Looks good, no bridging. Oh, it looks like I actually touched this one when I shouldn't have, but oh well. So I'll get them all cleaned up and then we'll move on with that. Looks like I might have missed this last time I saw it too. So anyways, let me get it all done and I'll show it to you. Alright, I got the board all cleaned up. There's a little bit of residue here left over from the napkin. See if we can't blow most of that off. There we go. Alright, now we need to put it back in the frame here. Let me zoom out. Need to put it back in the frame and get it back in the equipment and get it tested. And just slide it in like that and put your 4 screws in. Alright, I got all my 4 screws in. However, I don't actually tighten them down, and the reason is because when I put the nuts on this over here and these all tightened down, I don't want them to be pulling on the tabs that these are mounted to the board on. So I leave these loose so that the board can move back and forth until these are tight. Then I tighten these down. So let's go ahead and get all the washers on these and get these tightened down with the 1/2 inch deep socket. Alright, I got all the washers on. All I got to do is put the nut on. Now that I got all the nuts on, let's just go ahead and snug them all down. You don't have to put them on real tight, just snug them. That's it. And these, by the way, 2 through 7 don't have to go on in any particular order if you take them all off. They're all the same. The only ones that are different are these and these, which is 201 and 208. Those have to go in those original spots because of the way they're built. So let's see, I don't remember where I left off here. There it is. Right, you don't have to torque these down really hard. Just torque them just a little bit. Just snug them up, and that's it. Okay, now we can go ahead and tighten up all our 4 screws here. All right, just snug these up, and let's get it back in the unit right over there. Alright, now to put this back in, you just stick the bottom in to slide with the screws. Whoop, don't drop it. And slide it underneath there and just push it up on the screw holes there. Both sides. Move this out of the way again. There we go. Go ahead and put your washers on both sides and snug them up. If you don't remember, these are 5/16. If you want to use a ratchet or something, I just tighten them up with my fingers, then use a pair of pliers and snug them that way. It's easier. All right, I've go ahead and got those nuts and washers on there, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten them up, and they're snugged up. And I got this one already, so the next thing is to go ahead and install the power switch. So don't forget, you gotta take this little nut off here. Try not to move the one on the bottom, because that determines how far it goes in and out of the hole. Alright, just take the switch after you take the nut off and stuff it in the hole. And then on this side, put the nut on. Alright, got it on. Now this, by the way, does have a keyway in it so that the wires have to point this way. So if you try to put it in any other orientation than that, it won't work. You have to put it in this way, unless you feel like you know, filing off the thing or something. So let's get this display board in and get it hooked up. Alright, I decided before we put that board in, I want to go ahead and put this one on, this dip connector, and check it out, make sure everything's all straight before you start playing with it and break it. Make sure all the pins go in. Let me see if I can't zoom in. Sorry about the lack of light. Oh, sorry about that. Here we go. There we go. So that one's in. So let's get the board on now. Make sure it's in all the way. It looks like it's in all the way. Let me go around the other side and check it. Actually, I could probably do it right here with the video. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, that looks fine. Look around on this side. Looks good, because these little tabs on here, they can bend over and give you problems. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get this board in. And it's just got the 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. It sits right in there like that. And if you want to do any repairs on these boards, they're fairly easy to repair. They just have some regulators and some LEDs and some 7 segments with decimal points in them. And they have a couple of chips. And that's about it. If you want to know what those chips are, you can look them up. Let me zoom in on here and focus. There you are. That's what they are if you want to go play with them. Alright, let's go ahead and just get this board in. And the connector right here goes on the right side, by the way. And my wife made some spiced tea, so I went and got some. Good stuff. Alright, some call it Russian tea, some call it spiced tea, Christmas tea, whatever you want to call it. It's basically cinnamon, tang, and some other stuff. I don't know what's all in it. Alright, let me get those screws in. Alright, I got all the 4 screws started. Now all I gotta do is finish them up. Boy, I'm really missing my tripod. I bought a new one online today just for this reason, because I couldn't find them. And I bought it on Amazon Prime, and it's supposed to be here the 27th. I think they would do 26th, but I think Christmas is in the way. Which is fine. I totally understand that. People shouldn't have to work on Christmas. I'm pretty sure they're snugged up good enough. So let's get this connector on here. There we go. All right. Looks like we're all hooked up now, so let's turn it around, plug it in, and see what happens. Well, darn, I forgot to put the knobs on, so let me put those on first. Alright, I got 2 of the knobs on. Remember, when I put them on while I'm holding it up, and then use my Allen wrench. After you get them on, make sure that they go to the stops and they operate properly. If not, then you could be in the wrong setting. Alright, those looks good. Let me get the others on. Alright, I got all the knobs on. Let's plug it in, turn it on, and see what happens. Here we go, moment of truth. I haven't tried it, so let's see what happens. Alright, so we're in volts. milliamps. Let's go over the positive. No, this is lit up really bright right here, all of these. So it makes me wonder if I have a driver that's bad. So let's see. Oh, we actually have something working here, but it's not working the way it should. Yeah, I got an issue in here still somewhere. Definitely got an issue. It makes me wonder if it's this ribbon cable right here. Or this one. I don't know. Let's see if the other... Okay, that's supposed to say error. That's not supposed to say that. So I still have an issue, a connection issue somewhere. So let me play around with those connectors and see what comes up. Oh, crap. Yeah, I did fix it later though, but it was a bummer. Alright, just out of curiosity, I went ahead and I put it in the 100 milliamp range and decided to go ahead and take the output. I put the cents together and then grounded the guard like it tells you to do in the manual. And then I ran my banana plugs over my meter. And now I won't be able to measure anything below 100 microamps. So just to see what happened, I went ahead and I tried it. And I had nothing there. And then I started getting something here too. So it's a little low. So I went over to 1 milliamp and I got a 9. So I was like, oh, okay, so that would be pretty doggone close. So I went back off of here, went over to 10 milliamps. I got 9.8, so that's good. And I went over to 100 milliamp and I got 99.5. So I know my milliamp range is working despite what the display says. So I noticed that this one is lit all the time. So, oh, wrong one. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it jumps to here, and this one stays lit. So there's definitely an issue in here with one of the either one of these or one of the chips. Now this is the one that wasn't working or was working intermittently. It seems to be working very well now. No intermittent issues or anything since I cleaned it up and bent the fingers on it, and that's what it was. The fingers were just barely touching, and then this one the fingers weren't touching at all. So I cleaned it up and bent them all the way up, and now it's not working. Check that out. So let me go back here. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that's right. It's 100 milliamp max. I believe that's what it was. 100 milliamp max. Oh, and they do carry and borrow, if you'll see that here. So now I got to figure out either what chip is shorted or what the deal is. I don't know if this was causing the problem with it being to where it wasn't working at all, or whether now that it's working, it's got the chip that this feeds is shorted, and it's causing this problem right here all the time. So I don't know, so I'm gonna have to go investigate that, figure that out. I'll probably go ahead and pull one of these back off and then try to operate it without it, and then see what happens, see if I have an issue with a specific one. I can also turn it upside down, put my meter on all 3 points and see if I have a short. Could be a lot of different things, so I'll have to dig through the schematic here and see what the issue is. Also, I've gone through and I've kind of redone this schematic right here. You could barely read some of this before. And the original schematic, they just had circles here. And I always like, you know, put stuff on here, so that's the way I did it. And these, by the way, when you operate them and put the meter lead on them, they don't short. They only short intermittently. And that is, you either get a 5 volt on a B or 5 volt on A intermittently. The detents are set up so that C and A are between the wipers and B barely catches the edge. This one's long. I think I'm going to have to cut this part off right now, and we're going to have to work at this a little bit later. So God bless y'all. It's Keith Nanya. Bye.